Om Swastiastu. Hello, good morning, everyone. So today we would like to present you about teaching listening. But before that, let us to introduce myself. My name is Mentari. I'm not alone here. I'm with two others, my friends. So they are Nikade Ayu Priska Widyawati and also Nilo Putu Winda Cesariani. All right, everyone. So today we would like to explain you about teaching listening. Okay, please next. Okay, today we have five contents that we will present or explain you in this presentation. So the first one is about definition of teaching listening, and then the second one is about principles of teaching listening, and then the third one is about phases of listening, and then the fourth one is about strategies of teaching listening, and then the last one is about advantage and also disadvantage of teaching listening. All right, this next. Okay. Okay, everyone, as you can see in the slide, so the first one, I would like to explain you about the definition of listening. So according to Dosser, 1997, listening is an important element in building the language competence of secondary school students when they communicate at school, at work, and in the community. So from this definition of listening, we know that listening is a very, very important ability or skill that we must have in communicating with other people or achieving the target language that we want. All right. Next, I will explain you about teaching listening. No, please back slide. Okay, thank you. So first, I would like to tell you about what is teaching listening. So teaching listening here is one of the technique that used for teacher to hone student listening skill. So teaching listening to student can be done in various ways. Maybe for example, such as playing song, and then maybe listening to story or etc. Teacher plays a very important role in facilitating their students to improve listening skill. Therefore, teaching listening is very, very important for students in achieving the target language by being studied. All right, please next slide. Thank you. All right, everyone. Next, I will explain you about the principle of teaching listening. So as you can see in the slide, there are several principles of teaching listening. So the first one is about encourage students to listen more. So as we know together, everyone, the more of the student listening, so the more accustomed student with English vocabulary. Student will also be able to remember and even know the correct pronunciation of a word. In addition, student can also get a lot of new vocabulary, so that making it easier for them to speak and also write. And then the second one is there is help student to prepare listening activity. All right, everyone. On the second principle, the teacher will help student in preparing for listening activity. Maybe, for example, like listening to question first before student listening to the audio, so that student can predict what the speaker will say in the audio that will be given by the teacher. And then the third one is practice is not just one. So this is meant that when we want to practice listening skill, so we also need practice listening a lot so that you are more accustomed and more flexible in listening to foreign languages. And then the third one is about encourage students to give response about the contents of the text. So in this teaching listening principle, a student will be asked by the teacher to express or convey their opinion about what they have heard related to the audio that the teacher gave before. And then the fifth one is about different listening steps. All right, everyone. On this principle, the teacher will use various techniques that have different steps to practice student listening skill. It is intended that students don't feel bored in practices listening, so that they can improve their listening skill. And then the last one, but not least, is the teacher uses the text maximally. So on this principle, the teacher will use the text maximally in practicing student listening skill. It aims that students are more accustomed to listening to long text, so that making it easier for them to improve their listening skill. All right, please next slide. Okay, next I will explain you about phases of teaching listening. So as you can see in the slide, there are three phases of teaching listening. So the first one is about before listening. So in this phase, the teacher will introduce the topic to be discussed, and student will observe the introduced topic. And then the second one is about during listening. So in this phase, the teacher should explain the purpose of listening and clarify what they have to do in relation to the listening task. Are they going to look for general information or a specific information that will be used in completing the task? And then the third one is about after listening. So in this phase, the teacher ends the activity by developing the topic that has been learned, and teacher helping student remember the new vocabulary that they got in the previous listening activity. All right, please next slide. Okay, Okay, thank you. So now I will explain you about strategies of teaching listening. Okay, everyone, as you can see in the slide, there are some strategies of teaching listening. So I would like to explain you one by one. So the first one, I would like to explain you about listening through story. So listening through story here is a strategy used by the teacher that telling a story and student listen to it. So by using this strategy, students are directed to understand the message that has been heard before. So there are implementation procedures for this technique. So the first one is about the teacher listen, present, or read the selected story directly. And then the second one, in the first listening activity, students are asked to listen the stories and explore some general information individually. And then the third one, the teacher prepares a worksheet contain question that leads students to understand the content of the story and share it with students. And then the fourth one is the teacher repeats the activity of listening, presenting or reading directly the story around 1 to 2 times, while students try to find special information contained the story. And then the fifth one is about students are asked to answer question read by the teacher while listening. And then the sixth one is teachers and students check student answer classically. And then the seventh one is students are asked to convey the moral message of the story. And then the last one, students are asked to summarize the story they have heard using their own words. And then the next, I will explain you about listening through think pairs, or we usually call by TPS. So TPS strategy here is a strategy that emphasizes what will be done. This strategy is a simple strategy based on cooperative learning principles. So this strategy is able to increase the participant of each student in learning. So there are some stage of these strategies. So we have think, pair, and also shares. So think here, student think and organize ideas individually related to question given, and then pairs, student in pairs express their opinions and discuss their respective ideas. And then the last one, share. So student in pairs in share present the result of their discussion in front of the class, so that all students know what the result of their discussion are. And then we have the procedure for implementing this strategy. So the first one is student listen to the sound of the tape recorded for 3 times. And then students think about the answer to questions that have been given by the teacher individually. And then the third one, after 10 minutes, students are asked to work in pairs, discussing each other's answers. And then the fourth one, several groups of students present their answer in front of the class after discussing. And then the last one, other students provide criticism and suggestion for the answer that have been submitted by their friends. Okay, the third one, I would like to explain you about listening through problem-based learning, or maybe usually we can call by PBL strategy. So PBL strategy here is a student-centered teaching strategy and learning based on real and complex problem in various contexts. So the teachers role in this strategy is a facilitator whose job is to provide assistance to students. So there are some procedures for implementing this strategy. So the first one, student explore information about a problem or issue. And then the second one, student make a list of notes about the information that they know related to given problem. And then the third one, student develop and write down the problem using their own words. And then the fourth, student make a list of possible solution that can be given to solve related problem and sort the solution from the most likely to the least possible. And then one, a student make a list of activities to be carried out along with the specific time series. And then the sixth one is student make a list of things that they need to know based on the data and knowledge that support the solution. And then the seventh one, student write down solution along with document that supports this solution, and they are submitted to the teacher. And then the last one, student present, define and account for the data that they have found by showing certain evidence. All right, everyone, I think that's all about my explanation. So the next strategies will explain by my friends, Winda. For the Winda, the time is yours. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you for the opportunity that is given to me, Mentari. So I will continue our presentation today. I will continue present about listening through news items by using closed procedure. So listening with news items by using closed procedure is a teaching strategy based on a meeting made by the teacher in the hope that learning can be more meaningful. The procedures for implementing this strategy include: first, students are asked to listen to the voice or audio twice. Second, during listening, students fill in the gaps or blanks on the answer sheets that has been given by the teacher. Third, the teacher directs students to discuss the answers to the gap text together. Fourth, students are asked to work with their groups and summarize the text information that has been discussed. Fifth, each group's representative is asked to report the summary result. And the next strategy is reader strategy. The reader strategy is a listening learning strategy combined with a visualization method. The procedures for implementing this strategy include: first, read or listen. A student listen to a text read by the teacher or from a tape recording. Second, imagine. Students create imagination or visualization of the text that is read or heard. Third, dramatize. Students dramatize the results of their imagination. Fourth, describe. Students describe the important features or the results of visualization and dramatization. Fifth, evaluate. evaluate is students evaluate the information in the text. 6. Read on repeat. Student repeat the first step to check their understanding of the information obtained. Okay, the last strategy is a listen for lies game. Lies game. This strategy is the best strategy for teaching listening skills using games. The procedures for implementing this strategy include, first, before the listening activity, the teacher prepares the lesson by introducing the topic. In the core activity, the teacher implements a lesson for lies games. And the third one is each student must listen carefully to the story that is played in the form of an audio recording. Fourth, audio recordings can be played more than once if necessary. Fifth, after the audio recording is stopped, the teacher reads the previous story aloud by making changes. Six, every time the teacher makes a change or lie of the story, students must stand up and say what they should. Seven, the student who is the first to stand up and can identify the change gets a score. 8, to make this game more challenging, the teacher can modify the game by dividing students into a large group and playing like the previous steps. Aduh, Beb, itu change apa chance sih? Okay, the last strategy is listen for a live game. This strategy is the best strategy for teaching listening skills using games. The procedures for implementing this strategy include, first, before the listening activity, the teacher prepares the lesson by introducing the topic. Second, in the core activity, the teacher implements listen for live games. And the third one is each student must listen carefully to the story that is played in the form of an audio recording. Fourth, audio recordings can be played more than once if necessary. Fifth, after the audio recording is stopped, the teacher reads the previous story aloud by making change. Sixth, every time the teacher makes a change or lie of the story, students must stand up and say what they should. Seventh, the student who is the first to stand up and can identify the change gets a score. Eighth, to make this game more challenging, the teacher can modify the game by dividing students into 4 large groups and playing like the previous steps. Okay, that's all about strategies in the teaching listening. And next, I will be explain or present about advantages and disadvantages of teaching listening. But first, I will be present about or explain about the advantages of teaching listening. Okay, first, the advantages of teaching listening are can improve students' vocabulary and imaginative abilities. Second, can motivate students to learn because it can bring fun in learning. Third, can integrate three skills, namely listening, speaking, and writing. Fourth, can give students to think critically and individually. Next, can provide opportunities for students to respect each other's opinions, complement each other, and understand each other, and can develop attitudes such as acceptance and support to friends, improvement of academic achievement, self-respect, and interest in learning. Next. Okay, next, can facilitate student-centered problem-based learning, can stimulate curiosity, can stimulate the desire to observe, motivate, and increase student involvement in solving problems, can support the development of student skill in self-regulation and being collaborative, provide practice of guessing skills in the context of discourse, provide opportunities for students to practice their phonetic abilities, provide exercise for students to expand the use of language structure, word meaning, and vocabulary knowledge to guess the word mentioned. Next, students are motivated to listen to monologues because they can express by their imaging. And the last one, students can improve the ability to understand the text because visualization helps students to remember. Okay, next I will explain about disadvantages of teaching listening. Uh, the disadvantages of teaching listening are: it is difficult to choose a story that is interesting and accommodates all students' characters. Not all students are happy with the story. And students will experience boredom when they do not like the story the teacher tells. Students spend a lot of time in completing assignments. If the question given by the teacher are too difficult for students, students will be more focused in understanding the questions that using the target language in conveying the context of the text being studied. If it in the, okay, next disadvantages, if it is in the form of homework, students may be able to imitate other people's work or the assignments given are done by others. And it takes a lot of time to solve a problem. Teachers tend to find it difficult to find listening material that is relevant to the level of students' language skills. It takes several repetitions for students to really understand and predict what words are omitted. The teacher should not arbitrarily omit words in the text. This is because the closed procedure has special rules for removing words. Students may not be able to monitor their understanding effectively, not realizing that the interpretation may divide from the content of the text. And students concentrate more on the game so that sometimes they lose control and forget what they actually learned from the game. And the last disadvantages is students whose English skills are low and less able to participate in activities. Okay, so that's all about advantages and disadvantages of those strategies. And last, I will conclude for this material. So the conclusion for this presentation is one of the four primary language field is listening. Listening refers to the ability to hear or receive information from a speaker or an auditory source, such as in conversation, television, or radio. When we learn a language, listening skills are crucial. They allow us to understand what the speaker says in a conversation or what the instructor says during a lesson, allowing us to follow the teacher's instructions correctly because we know what the teacher said. There are some factors that make listening is difficult for students in English foreign language, such as abbreviated language, stress, rhythm, and intonation. The speaker speak too fast, lack or and students level or of concentration. Before doing teaching listening, there are several phases, namely before listening, during listening, and after listening. In addition, there are several strategies used in teaching listening, including listening through story, listening through think, pair, share, listening through problem-based learning, listening through news items by using closed procedure, reader strategy, and the last one is listen for live skim. Okay, that's all about our presentation. Thank you for watching this video presentation. Next, we will see the simulation by my friend. She is Priska. So Priska, time is yours. Thank you.
Hello, my dear students.
Hello, Miss.
Okay, how are you today?
I'm fine, thank you. And you?
I'm fine too. Thank you for asking me back. So before we start our lesson today, let's pray together. May God bless us in this learning process. So bow your head and pray start. Pray finish. Okay, now we will learn about narrative text. So before we continue to the next session, I want to ask two questions. And the first question is, what do you know about narrative text? Who want to share an opinion?
My Miss,
Okay, Jenny.
story about an experience in the past.
Yes, that's right. The story about the experience in the past. Okay, and then the second question is, what are kind of the narrative text? Who want to share an opinion?
Me, Miss,
Yes, Rizka.
fairy stories.
Yes, that's right. Fairy stories. And then what else? Yes.
Legend and fables.
Legend and fables. What else?
Adventure stories.
Yes, adventure stories. Okay, now I have an audio about narrative text. So what you have to do is to listen the audio, and then you may take a note of the audio if it's needed. And then later on, I will give you a task that is related to the audio. So are you ready, my dear?
Yes, I'm ready.
Okay, let's listen the audio.
The Fox and the Grapes. One afternoon, there was a fox that was walking through the forest and spotted a bunch of grapes hanging from over a lofty branch. "Just the thing to quench my thirst," quoted the fox. Taking a few steps backward, the fox jumped, but unfortunately he missed the hanging grapes. Again the fox took a few paces backward, ran and tried to reach them, but he still failed. Finally, giving up, the fox turned up his nose and said, "They're probably sour anyway," and proceeded to walk away.
Okay, after we listen to the audio, And now I have this for you. This is for you. And this is for you. This is for you. And this is for you. Okay, what you have to do is to rearrange the sentences into the good stories based on the audio that we have listened before. And I will give you 10 minutes to rearrange the sentences. So go on, my dear. Do you find any difficulties in rearrange the sentences? If yes, we can listen the audio once again. You want to listen it again?
Yes.
Yes. Yes?
Yes.
Okay, let's listen again the audio. And pay attention to the audio.
The Fox and the Grapes. One afternoon, there was a fox that was walking through the forest and spotted a bunch of grapes hanging from over a lofty branch. "Just the thing to quench my thirst," quoted the fox. Taking a few steps backward, the fox jumped, but unfortunately he missed the hanging grapes. Again the fox took a few paces backward, ran and tried to reach them, but he still failed. Finally, giving up, the fox turned up his nose and said, "They're probably sour anyway," and proceeded to walk away.
Well, my dear, time is up. Have you finished?
Yes.
Okay, and now I want to listen your result of the task, and there are 4 sentences that you have to rearrange. And for the first sentence, I want to hear from Juni. So, what is the first sentence?
One afternoon, there was a fox. They was walking towards the forest and spotted a bunch of grapes hanging from over a rotting branch. "Just the thing to quench my thirst," quoted the fox.
Yes, excellent. And then the second sentence, I want to hear from Chandra. So, what is the second sentence?
Taking a few steps backward, the fox jumped, but unfortunately he missed the hanging grapes.
Yes, that's right. And then the third sentence, I want to hear from Rati. So, what is the third sentence?
Again the fox took a few paces backward, ran and tried to rush him, but he still failed.
Yes, that's right. And then the fourth or the last sentence, I want to hear from Rizka. What is the last sentence?
Finally, giving up, the fox turned up his nose and said, "They probably sour anyway," and proceeded to walk away.
Yes, that's right. So great, my dear students. All of you doing well. Okay, now we move to the next session. I have an exercise for you, and now you will not do this exercise individually, but you will work in pairs. So I will divide you into 2 groups, which one group consists 2 students. So I will divide you, Juni with Chandra and Ratih with Rizka. And I have 2 paper. This is for Rizka's group and this is for Juni's group. So what you have to do is to decide whether the sentences is true or false based on the story that we have listened before. And then I will give you 10 minutes to do this and discuss with your partners. So go on, my dear. Okay, time is up. Have you finished, my dear?
Yes.
Miss. Okay, and now I want each group to present your result of discussion. And I want to hear from Rizka's group first about the sentence number 1, 2, and 3. So for Rizka's group, go on.
Number 1. The title of the story is The Fox and the Grapes. The answer is
Yes, the answer is true. And then the second.
number 2. One morning there was a fox that was walking through the forest. The answer is false.
Yes, that's right. False.
Number 3. The fox get the grape. The answer is false.
Yes, the answer is false. And then next, for Juni's group, number 4 and number 5.
The fox went to take the grapes to quench thirsty. The answer is true.
Yes, true. That's right. And then the fifth one.
The fox did not give up to get the grapes. The answer false.
Yes, the answer is false. Well, my dear, I think all of you have understood about the materials today, and now I want to ask you 2 questions. So the first question is, do you know what kind of narrative text is the story of the audio before? Who want to answer?
Me, miss.
Yes, Rizka?
I think that story is kind of fable, miss.
Yes, fables.
Because the story is tell about animal.
Yes, that's right. So the story is the kind of fables because the story is tell about animals. And then the second question is, do you find any new vocabulary in the story before?
Means
Yes, Chandra?
backward.
Backward. And then who else?
Miss.
Yes, Jenny?
Spotted.
Spotted, yes. And then who else?
Miss.
Yes, Rati?
Miss.
Pens, yes, that's right. Okay, I think you have found some new vocabulary. I mean, which is very useful for you to learn English actually. And then now I want one volunteer here to retell the story, but not the whole of the story, just the summary of the story. Who wants to be the volunteers?
Miss.
Yes, Rizka.
Summary. The fox was walking through the forest. The fox wanted to take the grapes to quench thirsty, but he didn't get it and giving up. The fox turned up his nose and said, they are probably sour anyway, and proceeded to walk away.
Okay, that's very great, Rizka, and I really appreciate it. I think you have taken note of the story in the audio before, and you can retell the story, the summary of the story. Well, that's all about the activities today, and I hope you understand about the materials today, and you have learned something about the materials today. And we will meet again in the next meeting about another topic, and see you to the next meeting. And before we end this meeting, let's pray together. So bow your head and pray start. Pray finish. Okay, my dear, that's all about the activities today. So see you next time.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Miss.
Miss.